Hello and welcome to our afternoon session on day 2 of the UCI 2025 Paracycling Road World Championships from Ronse in Belgium. Joining me, Emma Martin, in the commentary box is Paralympic and world gold medalist Barney Story. Barney, it's day 2 of the individual time trial at the Paracycling Road World Championships, and that is what has happened. It has rained. Not surprising in Belgium, but it is going to make a difference to our races this afternoon.
Yeah, well, indeed, and it brings a different dimension, I think, to the racing this afternoon that we've not seen this morning. So different bike handling elements, certainly warmth as well. It's a little bit cooler. So yeah, it's going to bring some different challenges for our competitors.
Yeah, well, a packed programme today. You see, we've had 5 classes this morning, 7 classes this afternoon, starting with the women's C5, the men's C2 and C1. Then we go back to the women, the C4, C3, C2 and C1 time trials are all this afternoon. So yes, 7 world champions will be crowned this afternoon in Ronse, Belgium. One of the things, Barney, that riders were talking about this morning in the post-race interviews, and we're going to take a look at the course because 2 laps of this time trial course, was the wind out on course this morning.
Yeah, that's right. It was a little blustery, and I think, well, I know as soon as we get through this section where there's 2 parts of the road here, so just where we're seeing on the map now, starting to see some wind, particularly on this section here. So that is going to play a factor along with the rain as well for this afternoon's time trials.
So all bar one of our categories today have 2 laps of the 11.6 kilometre course here in Ronse, 70 metres of climbing per lap. Just the women's C1 class who have 1 lap for their individual time trial today. Now, the section here that we're on at the moment on this map is an out and back leg. So you see riders coming back into town as you are going out of town.
Riders always have to feedback of what's happening in their race, and if they can see a difference, you know, particularly the riders with the 2-lap races where they'll see their opponents maybe even twice on those roads, they can make that kind of decision if they're up or down on time.
So the women's C1 category, 11.6 kilometres of racing. All other 6 categories out, 23.2 kilometres of racing today. And of course, our commissaire panels are nearly in the sunshine there after the heavy downpour. But our commissaires, Barney, are race referees.
Yes, they are indeed, and we have a team of UCI accredited commissaires, as well as the national commissaires from Belgium as well.
Well, it is still raining here, but nothing like what we've seen over the pause in racing, where it has been absolutely torrential. Now, the women's C5 time trial is going to be the first time trial away, and the start list is on your screen at the moment. 11 competitors on the start sheets today for the women's C5. And well, it's going to be an interesting race. We'll talk more about the key competitors as we go through each of the starts in turn. The men's C2 individual time trial will be the 2nd class away. 22 riders. It's a big category.
Yeah, it is indeed. Historically, C2 has always been a big class within paracycling, and that shows again today. With a home favourite as well.
Yes, the Belgian rider Edward Vermont, and the category coming up after the MC1, 15 riders in this category. So we are likely to see some very close racing again this afternoon. This morning in the individual time trial, some of the time gaps were minuscule for those podiums. And when I say minuscule, I mean sub 1 second. It was that close out there on the individual time trials. Bonnie, are you anticipating anything as close this afternoon?
I am, yeah. I think we're going to see a few of the categories. We're going to see some out-and-out favourites like we have done already, but there will be some of the categories that will be very, very close to each other. So I'm looking forward to seeing that competition.
Well, the women's C3 start list on your screens at the moment. 12 riders on the start sheets there. The women's C2, a little smaller, 8 riders on this start list. Now, this season we have had 2 World Cups, so we do have some indicator of form. Obviously, last year, both the Paralympic Games and the World Championships falling within around 4 weeks of each other. So very tight time frame there. This year, 2 World Cups in May. Early May and late May. The C1 class on your screen there, 3 riders in that category. And those 2 World Cups in May, Barney, giving us much indication of form for now, bearing in mind we're at the end of August?
Yeah, I think it's given us a good indication. We've seen from all the other races so far that it gives us a strong odds of who might be in with a chance of a medal at these World Championships, and also the type of course that we've had in the World Cups as well. With perhaps Maniago in Italy being the most similar in terms of course profile. Ostend was very flat. It was literally right next to the sea, the course, so it was incredibly flat. But yeah, Maniago was probably the most similar. As we just see the women preparing for the C5 individual time trial.
Yes, and we can see that we're going to talk a little bit more about the riders. Sarah Story dominating since 2018. Kirsten Brackendorf also taking one of those world titles. Well, Story, who took the World Championship title last year in Zurich, Gauguin, who took second, and Brackendorf, who took third. None of those riders are here in Ronse today.
No, they're not, and for some, certainly for 2, we're not entirely sure why they're not here. They have been racing this year. I know why one of them isn't racing, because she's my wife, so I should
well,
should know
tell
really.
Us why the defending champion is not here, Barney.
I should know really. Sarah Story's had some kind of operations this year that have meant her, a return to riding hasn't been as soon as she was expected, so decision was made to basically let her recover and get better rather than come to these World Championships this year.
Well, from the rider's perspective, Barney, does that really change the psychology and motivation around the World Championships, that the fact that the 3 medalists from Zurich aren't on the start sheets?
If I was those competitors, I'd be delighted those 3 riders aren't here. So it gives them a real chance to, try and win the medals, try and win that rainbow jersey, and certainly for someone like Alana Forster from Australia, who's done well in the time trials in the World Cups. I think it's a great opportunity for her to perhaps even win today.
Well, when you know that the defending champion isn't there, and neither are the other medalists from last year, it does indeed give you an open playing field, doesn't it? And the first rider we saw away, Paula Ossa Velosa from Colombia. The second rider in the start down there with the commissaires awaiting her start time is Elisa Kolpachi from the Ukraine.
15 seconds.
Anxious moments?
Yeah, it is, and a new rider from the Ukraine here, and Kolpachi. So it'd be interesting. It's one of the riders we don't have a huge amount of information about, so it'd be great to see her get started in this time trial, and we'll certainly find out on the first few time checks too.
Also good to see the spectators, the rain not stopping them.
No, not at all, and we're in Belgium, and as well as the riders used to racing in rain in Belgium, the spectators aren't at all put off by the idea of a few spits and spots of rain.
It would be strange, wouldn't it, to come to Belgium and not expect some weather along the way. But the women's C5 category now out onto the course, and Paula Ossa Velosa, the first rider away.
Yeah, she is, and she has a good kind of pedigree in the road racing within paracycling. So the time trial, she'd probably be the first to admit, is not her preferred, discipline. But it's the World Championships, and she's here and she's ready to race. And
that is it, isn't it, Barney? Some of the riders choosing both the time trial and the road race, but have a preference or a leaning towards one over the other.
Yeah, they do, and it just comes down to, you know, a rider's ability to do, you know, better at one than the other. And you know, certainly for Paola, she's a really good road racer. She is one of those riders who knows when the move is going. She knows where she needs to be, tactically very astute. So I think for Paola, it would be a case of, you know, she gets to race around this course, which she will do part of it for the road race. The road race extends on an extra part of this time trial course. So it's hugely beneficial to her. And, you know, on her day, she still can put in a reasonable performance in the time trial too.
It's interesting, isn't it, that strategy, that anticipation, the ability to read the play on the road, different in the road race, but you've still got an element of strategy, of execution, of being able to read yourself on the individual time trial.
Yeah, you have indeed.
Ladies and gentlemen, the start of Rebecca Newark, Great Britain.
Well, Rebecca Newark from Great Britain, the next rider away here in the women's C5 category. Now, for those of you who haven't joined us previously, off of that start ramp, it's a slight incline and to the corner.
It's slightly unusual, and well, not unusual. I think it's just, but that's part and parcel of road racing, you know, or road events. You know, something always a little bit different. And I think what it does, it means you have to get on the power for the time trial fairly quickly. So you've got to be careful you don't, you know, use too much power too soon, that then causes you know, fatigue later on in the time trial.
Well, Marie-Lisis Jules from Estonia on the start ramp at the moment, waiting her countdown, which is underway.
2, 1, hello. And there she goes, Marie-Lisis Jules de Estonia. The next one is
So Jules of Estonia out onto the course. Now, there is lying water on the course, Barney, as well as you can see still some fine rain. Does the standing water make much difference?
I think for the majority of the time, that when you see the standing water on the course, I think the riders have been around the course multiple times. So it's not like it's the first time they will have seen it. So I think the majority of the time you'll see the standing water, and it's still a consideration because on some of the more slick tarmac, you don't want to be hitting, you know, puddles and effectively aquaplaning with your tyres. So you just need to be careful and keep a good strong balance. It's keeping your core really tight on your body as well, so you're not kind of, you know, levering on the bars and causing that instability of body weight on the wheels, and that can sometimes cause a bit of a slide. Even going in a straight line, you don't need to be going around a corner to get the slide off in the wet. So that's a really crucial part. But yeah, generally these riders will have seen the course and they would have been around it. They know the kind of different challenges, a change of surface as well. And that's, you know, they'll have to make an adjustment to their equipment. So whether that's a change of tyre, whether that's the tyres at less pressure. I mean, generally speaking, with tubeless tyres these days, which is what the majority will be running, you run at a lower pressure anyway. So you don't have to reduce the pressure as much for tubeless tyres, in my humble opinion.
There's always someone out there who thinks differently. But the women's C5 well and truly underway now, and one of the things that the riders have been talking about, well, two things really. They've been talking today, they didn't have the rain earlier on, but it was quite windy out on course. There also lots of conversation over both days about the changes in road surface, because we've got tarmac, we've got concrete slabs out there as well as then on the run into town, some minor cobbles.
Yeah, that's right, and what would be, I suppose, classed as kind of a little bit of a rough road if you're in Belgium compared to the more serious cobbles. But yeah, like you've already said, the road changes, the road texture changes with the concrete sections, and it does. I think for our viewers, if you're trying to kind of give an example of what it feels like, it just feels like someone's let all the air out of your tyres. You slow down immediately when you hit that section. So in the time trial, you have to make that decision: do I push on to keep the same speed, or do I ride at the same power and allow the bike to slow down? And that's the hardest part with gauging your effort.
Well, Jessica Law from Canada out of the start pen next. So in terms of those two World Cups this year, in the women's C5 time trial, Forster has taken one win and a second. And then Harkowska from Poland has taken a third and a win.
Yeah, it's been kind of evenly shared between Foster from Australia and Harkowska from Poland. So it's shaping to be a great battle here today, as well as Nicole Murray, who wasn't present at the World Cups. Obviously, you get the challenges of travelling from New Zealand to the Row World Cups, or do you just come to the World Championships? There's a lot of different reasons for that as well. Ultimately, you know, it does come down to cost as well. So I think for someone like Murray, she's you know, fully bought into these World Championships, and we'll see how fast she's going. She looks great so far.
She's looking really good there, wasn't she? Harkowska, the rider from Poland, down in the start of the moment. Final.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, small word to herself as the final seconds count down, and away goes Anna Harkowska from Poland.
Now we're going for the Azzurri from Italy.
She's going to be up for that, Barney, after those performances in those World Cups earlier on this year.
Yeah, she will be, and that's the racing and the training that have happened since those World Cups to be in kind of, you know, top shape for these World Championships here. And again, as you've already kind of alluded to, you know, at the Road World Cups, do you go into those and ride 100%, or do you try and save your form for the World Championships? And it's a tricky balance to try and get right as an athlete.
Well, there's also the element of psychology, isn't there? If you've ridden the World Cups and you've gone well, psychologically you feel quite confident in where you are. If you haven't ridden those World Cups and you've seen other riders go well, you've got to rely on your own data, haven't you, that you've got personally from training?
Yeah, you do indeed, and that's and obviously, you know, for someone like Kreti, who we're seeing start now, she'll be riding on that confidence after those 2 road race wins from both Maniago and Ostend. So yeah, you're absolutely right. The riders, a confident and a happy rider is always a fast rider, and that's the important part with cycling this level of competition. And for someone like someone like Claudia Kreti, she should be ultra happy and ultra confident in this environment, and you know, that might well help her, you know, spring a bit of a surprise in the time trial today.
Well, I was going to ask you that, because obviously from the road race wins versus into the time trial, does that sort of confidence in your performance and your level of preparation carry over?
Yeah, I think it does. I think you're going to end up, you know, there's nothing wrong with being confident and really happy with your performance.
No, not at all. It's really where you want to be, isn't it? As we see Alana Forster come out of the start, the final competitor in the women's C5, and very quickly into that position and pushing on out on to the course. Talk to us a little bit, Barney, about position on that bike, because the rider's very quickly trying to get into that time trial position.
Yeah, that's right, and you saw that with Nicole Murray, who we see on our screen now. She didn't actually, as soon as she was off the start ramp, she was straight into the tri-bars, her position she's in now. And that is her, and effectively, so if you have riders who train a lot in this position, which she obviously does, looking at her ride now, she's the most comfortable and the most efficient with her power production in that position. So it's just a case of making sure she's in that position as soon as she can and make the most of it.
And there are some riders, aren't there, who, when they get into that time trial position, produce more power than they would in their position on a road bike. And there is vice versa as well.
Yeah, there is, and it just comes down to the fact that, you know, how much time you spend on your chosen machine that you're going to, you know, try and do well on. And certainly for someone like Nicole Murray, the time trial is you know, her main event here to this World Championships.
Well, the men's C2 competitors down in the holding area by the start, and you can see Vromont, Lute and Robinson, the 3 medalists from Zurich, are indeed all on start sheets today. Vromont, Lute have battled over the last 4 years, each taking alternative World Championship titles off of each other. It was Vromont from Lute last year, with 20 seconds separating those two. In the first World Cup this year, Lute took the win in the time trial. Vromont was second. Going to be an interesting battle today here.
Yeah, on a slightly different course to the one we experienced last year. I mean, last year we saw a course that was, I would say, tailor-made for Vermont from Belgium, but this out and back and using this extreme power. And when we see him on the screen, you'll see that extreme power with pedaling with one leg, and you realise how fast he actually went. Obviously, slightly different course this year. Will it suit the French rider slightly more? But I'm expecting a close battle between those two riders.
Well, there could well be a close battle in this women's C5 competition as well. The riders now starting to come through the first time check. Rebecca Newark currently holding the fastest time through there, 7 minutes 38 seconds. Paula Ossa Velosa from Colombia in 2, 7:49. So Jessica Law, the Canadian rider on your screen, not quite at that checkpoint yet, but as soon as she is, we'll see where she fits in overall. So we talked about this course a little bit, Barney. It's not flat like the courses that you were talking about earlier on. It does roll. There's no one long climb. There are actually undulations, I think is probably a good word.
Yeah, I think that's a fair description of the course. It's it just comes a lot of kind of few ups and downs, and certainly when you have got these ups and downs, you're seeing the kind of surface changes as well with the what we talked about with this kind of concrete surface and the expansion joints between it.
Well, Morgan Newbury, the rider from Great Britain, has just gone through that intermediate time check and set a faster time than her compatriot, and 7 minutes 34 seconds, 4 seconds faster Newbury than Newark at intermediate checkpoint 1.
Yeah, it's a solid start by Newbury.
So Mohamed Ashfur, the rider, away in that men's C2 class. While we drop back in with Alana Forster from Australia in the women's C5. So Nicole Murray has indeed now gone through, the rider from New Zealand, that first intermediate checkpoint. She's gone through in 3rd position, 5 seconds back on Newbury, 1 second back on Newark. So close at the top at the moment, just 5 seconds separating the top 3 at intermediate checkpoint 1.
Yep, it continues our trend from this morning.
It does, really close racing. Now that intermediate checkpoint 1, pretty much halfway round the lap. We're getting checkpoints at halfway, a full lap, a lap and a half, and then that second lap finish as we go in with the rider first out of the start in the men's C2, Tushta Murukov from Uzbekistan. We were only talking yesterday about the number of riders from Uzbekistan here, and some of them really young. So looking like a real development squad for the future.
Yeah, they are, and first appearing in, well, I say first appearing in en masse, I think, in Zurich is probably the best way to say that. They're bringing through a lot of different talent in a lot of different categories.
15 seconds. Al-Aldari, Palestine.
9 seconds, 8 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Go on.
There he goes. Al-Aldari, Palestine.
So Ala Al-Dali coming out of the start in that men's C2 competition.
This is Harkowska from Poland we're now following.
We are indeed, and we've dropped in, and I'm just trying to take a look. She has indeed gone through that time check. I tell you something, Barney. Wow, it is going to be one epic battle here because Anna Harkowska goes through in 7:53. That's going to put her in 5th place.
Yeah,
at the time check, 18 seconds back.
Yeah, I think based on our World Cup, rides that we'd seen, I think that's probably the biggest surprise so far of today. quite a way down on what we were expecting, I think, for a rider of Harkowska's standard.
She's a Polish rider. She has to be used to this type of weather. I mean, I know, I say that, I mean, you know, you do see, you know, really across Europe, you know, riders are used to either very hot summers, but also quite cold, wet, sometimes snowy winters, and you see that big range across Europe, and most European riders and racers are used to training and racing across a range of weather.
Yeah, they are indeed, and it's certainly something that I think, you know, bike racers internationally, you have to be prepared to, you know, race in, you know, in all the different types of conditions, and ultimately some riders will favour, you know, even the rain rather than summer conditions, but yeah, it's something that you just have to get used to as a bike racer.
Well, Alana Forster, the last rider away in the women's C5, has now gone through the first intermediate checkpoint. So let me bring you up to date with where we are at. Forster does indeed go through with the fastest time, 7 minutes 14 seconds. She's 20 seconds up on Morgan Newbury in second at 7:34, who is 4 seconds up on Rebecca Newark at 7:38 in third. Just 1 second clear of Nicole Murray in fourth, 7:39. 10 seconds clear of Paula Ossa-Velosa in fifth, who is 4 seconds clear of Harkowska, who is 4 seconds clear of Creti. We said there were going to be some close time gaps, and indeed there are. It's going to be really interesting. Maybe not Forster, because maybe Forster really is on a massive roll here. But definitely second, third, fourth and fifth is very close between those riders, and they will be battling each other for positions.
Yeah, they will indeed, and you can see by the speed of Forster here, and she's actually catching Creti on the road up ahead of her. You can see her speed is significantly higher, and you can see the average speed as well, significantly different compared to the other competitors. So yeah, I was kind of expecting her to be in this position, but it's still a long way to go in this race yet, and that's what will be in her mind as well, knowing that she has to keep focus, keep the power on, you know, to try and win this event.
Well, Aldali on the screen at the moment. Barney just pointing out his phone in his back pocket.
Yeah,
surely that's not as aerodynamic as it could be.
No, I think sometimes riders are so focused on you know, the details of being at the start, being away on time. I think sometimes you do forget about things sometimes.
Well, up and out onto the course and pushing on strongly in this men's C2 class. The women's C5 class, the first class away, and we are just starting to see them now come through the end of lap 1. So this is amazing. Alana Forster has caught within the first 10 minutes Claudia Creti from Italy, who, Barney, we were talking about, has won both road races in the World Cups this year.
Yeah, that's right. A good pedigree in the Road World Cups. As we just see Newark come through from GB, completing the first lap.
Well, at the first intermediate mark, it was around 11 seconds between Ossa-Velosa and Newark. Extended now to nearly 30 seconds. So really driving on, and the rider from Great Britain making great strides in the second half of lap 1. So having come past Claudia Creti, Alana Forster's next rider ahead would be Anna Harkowska, the rider from Poland.
You can see some excellent cornering around there by Forster. Barely slowing down for these wet conditions. Yeah, fantastic riding there.
I was going to say, there are some very tight corners out there and a lot of technical corners out on course. You can see the rain still on the camera at the moment as it gets a little white clear. But the conditions may be not as ideal as the riders would have liked. So Papangelis, the rider from Greece, the next rider away in the men's C2 class, getting his final countdown.
There he goes, Nikolaos Papangelis for Greece. Now we're going to Japan.
So Papangelis out onto the course.
Shota Kawamoto, starting number 83.
And moving strongly now. You're back in with Alana Forster from Australia. You can hear the braking.
Yeah, you can. We just see Newbury come through here when... so her teammate, Newark, has actually had a storming second half to that lap. I think she's just ahead of her now.
Yeah, so let's just give you an update. At the first intermediate checkpoint, Newbury was ahead of Newark by 4 seconds. It all overturned at the end of lap 1 because now Newark is ahead of Newbury by 2 seconds, so 6 seconds. Newark has gained on Newbury over that half lap. Going to be interesting to see how that pans out over lap 2, but you would have imagined, well, maybe Newark having a steadier start.
Yeah, it certainly looks to be that way, and obviously our other really close rider to the podium was Nicole Murray, who's due through next through the start-finish line. But it's fascinating seeing the different strategies and kind of time splits to where we're getting riders really, really close to each other.
Well, talking about riders close to each other, and you can see Nicole Murray now coming through and across the screen. Oh, that is seriously close. We said this was going to be close, and Nicole Murray has put in a phenomenal time here on the second half of lap 1 to come up from behind Newark and Newbury at the first intermediate checkpoint to ahead of Newark and Newbury in the second half. 17:38.2 for Murray, 17:38.5 for Newark. At the end of lap 1, well, that is, it's less than 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, it is indeed. That's really, 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 really close.
So it looks as though we've got an absolute battle going on for the medals in the women's C5 class. It's going to be interesting to see. Take a look at that, 0.26 of a second. And you thought Newbury's gap was small enough at 2.4 seconds. These women, Barney, the fact that they are so closely matched, does it drive on the competition, drive on the performance gains of the riders because of the close nature of the racing?
Yeah, it does indeed, and I think it obviously makes a big difference with you know, some of the riders that are missing from this event. I know that Gongan from France, who's also missing, has been racing French Elite Cups races this year. So anyone familiar with cycling, it's essentially the French National Series, which are as good as professional races in all honesty. So Heidi's been riding incredibly well in those, been riding with a regional team, but not at these Road World Championships this year.
But she'll be keeping an eye on what her fellow competitors are doing, though, won't she? Yeah,
she will indeed, and playing a very close eye on what's happening with Forster here, who's putting in the ride of the day from the women's C5 class.
Well, we are indeed just awaiting Alana Forster to come through the finish line at the end of lap 1 of this 2-lap time trial. She's coming in towards that finish line, though, and you can tell because that road surface, it is those minor Belgian cobbles that we're seeing.
Just see Maurice Eckhart from Spain taking his start in the men's C2 time trial.
So the C2 men's time trial coming out of the start pen. The women's C5 we are seeing going through at the end of lap 1. Anna Harkowska, the rider from Poland, had gone through the intermediate checkpoint 1 in 5th place. It looks like she's going to go through here in 5th at the end of lap 1 as well. As Alana Forster, I tell you, that's very, very quick coming round onto the finish straight. I would not be surprised if she caught the Polish rider sometime on lap 2.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Wow.
And yeah, cracking time by Forster there. coming through the start-finish line in a clear lead from her opponents.
Well, I'm going to give you the updates at the end of lap 1 in women's C5 class, and you can try and work out these gaps. Please do. Alana Forster in 1, 16 minutes 44, so she is 50+ seconds clear of second place. Nicole Murray, 17:38.2, 0.25 of a second clear of Rebecca Newark in 3, who is 2 seconds clear of Morgan Newbury in 4, who has a clear daylight. She's 30 seconds ahead of Jessica Law in 5. Anna Harkowska, the Polish rider, is 3 seconds back on Law. She's 0.3 of a second ahead of Ossa Velosa. And, well, 2 seconds clear of Claudia Creti. Those are the top 8 riders. So even though Alana Forster is well and truly clear, and for me, Barney really just needs to get the bike across the line and have a, I'm thinking of the right word, have an uneventful lap 2.
That's a very good one.
The battle really is on behind for silver and bronze, though, and there are 3 clear riders in it at the minute.
Yeah, there are. It's going to be very close between those 3 riders, and it will just come down to who has got the best kind of back end to this course in terms of their pacing strategy. But as we can see, you can see the speed difference with Forster on our screens at the moment, and she's going really, really well today.
So her average for lap 1, 41.6 kilometres an hour. Murray in 2, 39.5. So that is the pace differential.
Yeah, it is. It's a significant pace difference between Forster and the rest of the riders.
Well, Darren Hicks, the rider on your screen, also from Australia in the men's C2 class. And recently out of the start, but already onto that section of course where you've got the two-way traffic. And I mean two-way cycle traffic.
Yeah, Hicks he's an experienced campaigner in paracycling and had some great results throughout his career. But yeah, he's certainly one to watch in terms of top 5 within this event.
Well, riders in the men's C2 going through the first intermediate checkpoint already. Luis Castillo from Spain currently setting the fastest time, 7 minutes and 18 seconds. But it's going to be interesting to see once we've got all the riders out of the start.
Et voici c'est parti pour un autre Français, Andrea Ercolanelli.
So Ercolanelli out of the start for France, the rider in the men's C2 class.
And he was second in the time trial in Maniago this year, so some good pedigree in this type of terrain and time trial as well. And of course we've already mentioned, how do you keep your form going between the World Cups and the World Champs? That's often the tricky thing.
Looks like an issue for Al-Dali on the road race at the moment, and I don't know whether he is waiting for support.
And you're absolutely right with Forster and Harkowska. She's been caught now by Forster. And yeah, you can just see that speed difference already between those two riders.
And I would imagine from the World Cup performances of those two riders back in May, where they were switching first and second between them, Harkowska really would not have imagined a 2-minute catch from Forster.
No, certainly not at this stage in the race. I mean, even towards the end of the race, I think there has been previously in the races, a clear difference between our 3 medal winners from last year and the rest of the competitors this year. So there is quite a big gap, but the gaps have been smaller at the Road World Cups this year, where Harkowska has been much closer to Forster. So it is a real surprise for her, and it certainly be something she'll be working to try and get over, in the road race.
Well, we shall wait and see as the men's C2 class continues to have riders come out of the pen. Alexandre Lute coming out this time round. The silver medal last year, previous world champion in this category.
Yeah, he is indeed, and he's definitely got the best looking bike we've seen off the ramp so far today, all painted gold. And yeah, he'll be looking at this course and liking the profile of it compared to the course from last year. And so it'll be incredibly interesting to see if that does translate into a great performance for him.
Well, that probably went with the choice of bike. You know, the course suits me. I'm a previous world champion. It's my time to take it back again. I'm going out with a stamp of intention. I'm taking the gold bike. Yeah,
it is indeed. And he's great rider, and obviously, you know, Paralympic champion as well in this event. So he'll be looking to kind of wrestle that rainbow jersey back from Edouard Vermont.
Well, battle it back he may have to do, because that is what is happening out on the course at the moment. Robertson in the men's C2, just recently underway, 2 minutes into his time trial. And you can see here some of the technical features out on course. A number of the riders in the post-race interviews have been talking about the weather. Well, why not? Why wouldn't you? But also the technical features on the course, the number of corners, the surface changes, and all of those types of elements that really are bringing the challenge to. And take a listen to the Belgium crowd, because Edouard Vermont from Belgium, the defending champion in this men's C2 individual time trial, on to the start ramp, and very, very shortly will be the last rider away in this category. One of the things I'm really loving, Barney, watching the riders in this on the start ramp, is the use of breathing technique at the very last minute to bring the heart rate down. Yeah,
it is, and certainly you know, the riders are trying to be as composed as they can at that point, because they know in the matter of 30 seconds, 40 seconds, the heart rate is going to be at time trial mode. So he's just kind of making the most of that time, and you will see a strong performance from him today.
Well, we're seeing a strong performance from this woman as well, Alana Forster, in the women's C5. She's nearly 25 minutes into her race, and they are coming in towards checkpoint 3. In fact, she has just gone through checkpoint 3, and wow, that's all I can say. That is probably the word I'm going to use. Wow. 1 minute, 19 seconds to Newbury, who is continuing to extend her gap. Rebecca Newark dropping down, Nicole Murray moving up. So third and fourth switching at this point in time. Well, it's 8 seconds now. Nicole Murray has gone past Rebecca Newark by.
Yeah, it has, and you're seeing the gap extending between Morgan Newbury and Nicole Murray as well now. So you're starting to see an established pattern within our podium, but you never know.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because at the end of lap 1, it was seriously close, particularly second, third, and fourth. And as we've gone out onto lap 2, those time gaps now really starting to extend, and interesting to see. And it's having an impact on the changes. You know, in terms of the order of the riders coming through. So Forster in 1, Newbury in 2, Murray in 3, Newark in 4. Harkowska has just come through, pretty much settled into 5th place. So if I go back to checkpoint 1 out on course, it's the men's C2 class that is now going through that checkpoint with some intention. Edouard Vermont, the rider from Belgium, taking the cheers of every single rider, spectator out on course at the moment. But home rider, home course. But at the moment it's Darren Hicks, the Australian rider, who set the fastest time through the intermediate checkpoint. He's 10 seconds clear of Kawamoto from Japan. So 6 minutes 58 is the current fastest time through that intermediate checkpoint in the men's C2 class.
She will end the time trial first Friday.
Just see Paula Velosa just finished for Colombia, and now she's finished her time trial. First rider back in the C5 category, I believe.
Yeah, she was the first rider away as well. I do like it when there's some symmetry to it. Well, Alexandre Lutte from France now well and truly settled into his time trial. He's out on that section, of course, that is made up of the concrete surface on that golden bike. Look at that paint job. I wasn't going to talk about the bike, and then I got the full-on camera shot, and wow.
It's somewhat distracting having a gold bike right in front of you, isn't it? But he's certainly giving it some really good justice at the moment by the speed he's riding.
And that is a position he has practiced.
It is indeed, yeah. It's not something that happens by chance every, you know, just by turn up and riding.
But interesting that the little flick of the head every now and again to get the sight line back in and before dropping back into position.
Yeah, that's right. And you just see a little bit of hand movement as well. So where his you know, power meter display is as well, just moving his hands fractionally so he can see how much power he's outputting.
So a number of riders still to come through that first intermediate checkpoint in the men's C2. This, however, is the start of the men's C1. Well, Rebecca Newark comes around into the finish straight. She's driving towards the finish line for the finale to her time trial. Newark putting in an outstanding performance, dropping into first place. 35:20 is going to be the time to watch there. And at that intermediate point, she was indeed in fourth place. So the question is, will her time of 35:20 be good enough for a bronze medal, or will the quick riding Nicole Murray from New Zealand continue her charge?
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one to watch. And we just see Forster go around the corner first, who's the women's C5, closely followed by Hicks, who's the men's C2. So he's on his first lap and Forster is on her second lap.
Darren Hicks is having a really strong ride as well.
Yeah, he is, and he's you know, he's been around a long time and very experienced. So it'd be interesting to see how, you know, how close he can get to the medals or even actually win. You know, wouldn't that be a great thing? Well,
Morgan Newbury was lying in second at the penultimate checkpoint before the finish line in this women's C5 class. She's driving towards that finish line now. She doesn't have very far to go at all. Final few hundred meters for Newbury coming towards the line in the women's C5 as we go out and come back into Morgan Newbury's finale here, and she needs to drive here. There's been a real battle on, and it really is very, very close, and every second is going to count in terms of those medals in that women's C5. Newbury sets the fastest time of 35:03 to go ahead of her compatriot, Rebecca Newark. So Morgan Newbury doing a storming ride there. She's 17 seconds clear of Newark, but Nicole Murray is out on course. Alana Forster is out on course. Forster putting in a dominant ride, but the real question is how is Nicole Murray, the rider from New Zealand, racing at the second half of this time trial? Because she is the one who is getting quicker and quicker and could well be challenging for a silver or bronze medal. So the MC1 class is the class down in the start at the moment. And Cyril Berthaud, the rider, out of the pen this time. Out onto the course now as we watch Nicole Murray coming in. And do you know what? She's outside the time of Morgan Newbury, you know. Newbury's going to take away a second place here, but Murray, well, I think she's just ridden herself into the bronze medal.
Yeah, it's a strong ride by Murray there, and yeah, we're just awaiting our rider who we think will finish ahead of those two in Alana Forster from Australia. This is where you can see the power being put down by Edouard Vremont. And you can see it's very, very close between him and Alexandre Lutey from France. Only 3 seconds in it between those two riders. And as we thought would be a close battle, it's very much turning into one out here.
I'm just doing a bit of a time check between the gap between Murray and Newbury at the previous intermediate checkpoint. It was 17 seconds. On the line, it is 14 seconds. So Morgan Newbury doing enough in the early stages of that race to go clear and stay clear of Nicole Murray, who put in a strong mid-section, but not quite strong enough to catch Morgan Newbury. So fabulous riding there. We're just looking at and waiting for Alana Forster to come through, the Australian rider in that MC5 race, who was putting in such a dominant performance. Well, Cyril Berthaud from Belgium putting in a strong start, as we've got a number of riders coming in down the finish straight here. The men's category will go out for another lap, but Alana Forster, that is the winning time, and what a winning time it is. Alana Forster will be the world champion in the women's C5 time trial this year by nearly 2 minutes, Barney.
Yeah, what an absolutely fantastic ride by Forster. And you know, the moment she went down the start ramp, you could see the speed difference between her and the rest of her competitors in women's C5. And yeah, a fantastic ride, and obviously the podium being topped off with Morgan Newbury in second and Nicole Murray from New Zealand in third. Absolutely amazing racing in that women's C5 category, and it was really close behind as well in terms of fourth and fifth. So great racing. And wow, looks like it will continue to be a very competitive category. I'm just going to switch because we're in with Edouard Vremont from Belgium in the C2 class. And I can tell you he's gone through the first time check in second place, 4 seconds down on Alexandre Lutey, who's gone through in first. 6 minutes 43 is Lutey's time. Vremont, 6:47. Darren Hicks, who was one of the earlier starters out of the start ramp today in that men's C2 class, 6:58 in third. So 11 seconds separating second and third place there in that men's C2. Matthew Robertson, who took the bronze medal last year in Zurich, coming through in fourth at the first intermediate time check. It is about 3 seconds back on Hicks. So that's also going to be a really interesting race to see how that unfolds. Well, Alana Forster on our screen, the new Australian world champion in this in the women's C5, and
I have prayed a lot for this.
Harkovska congratulating her, but Harkovska seeming to say there was something wrong with her bike.
Oh, really? Okay, that's that might explain the difference in what we were expecting from her today. But yeah, she'll be back for the road race, and certainly Forster has done an absolutely brilliant ride today.
No, it's fine. Like, we hurt my chin though. Like, was only the last.
Well, Alana Forster just explaining what happened out on course, and having conversations not just with her competitors but with her support team as well. Edouard Vremont out on course at the moment as well. Second place at that first intermediate checkpoint, 6:47, so 4 seconds down. So the men's C1 class out on course as well at the moment, but the men's C2 class coming towards the end of lap 1. Darren Hicks saying the fastest time so far, 16 minutes and 6 seconds. Araconelli 16:27 at the moment in second, and Kawamoto 16:34 in third. We are still awaiting the later starting riders to come through. Well, Thomas Theroux from France in the C1 class awaiting his start. France having a really strong day one with 5 medals on the medal table, 2 golds and 3 silvers. Topping the table yesterday was Italy, 5 medals, 3 golds and 2 bronzes. 17 different nations on that medal table in day one. And the Belgians, the home nation, 2 medals yesterday, 1 gold and 1 bronze. They're going to be looking to up that today. Well, what can Edward Vremont do? Vremont is the defending champion from Zurich in the men's C2 class. And he is continuing to push on. He was second through the first intermediate checkpoint to Lute, the rider who took silver last year. And now, interestingly, because Lute and Vremont have been alternating the World Championship title in the men's C2 class over the last 4 years, Barney.
Yeah, they have indeed, and it's been, wow, as a spectator and as an enthusiast, it's been fascinating to watch those two battle it out to you know, to try and see who is going to be victorious this time. And it's good to see Robertson back up and riding. He did have a little kind of minor kind of off on one of the roundabouts on the course, but he's up and riding and looking strong again. Lost a little bit of time with that incident, but yeah, thankfully he's up and riding and okay.
Yeah, he has indeed lost a little bit of time. He was in 4th overall before that incident, out on course for Matthew Robinson, dropping into 8th, but as we said before, is very closely packed in this competition, and only a few seconds brings you up to the next place. So it's going to be interesting to see how he settles into lap number 2. Well, Edward Vremont from Belgium coming in towards the finish of lap 1. Thomas Theroux here in the C1 class, heading out of town. So the men's C1 class, Barney, it was indeed Riccardo Tenor-Gillies who took the win last year in Zurich. Nearly said Belgium, but indeed Zurich. Masajewski took second, Winhood took third. All 3 of those riders on the start sheets today. However, on the World Cups, we've seen a different rider really come to the fore, haven't we? The German rider, Michael Tuber.
Michael Tuber has been, again, another seasoned campaigner who's been around for a long, long time. And he's been, he's kind of been overtaken in some ways in the time trials by, Riccardo Tenor-Gillies and also, a couple of the other riders. But now he's kind of found his form, as it were, and he's doing incredibly well, winning both Road World Cups in the time trial.
Well, Edward Vremont coming in for the end of lap 1 and about to go out for lap 2 in that men's C2 category, coming in 22 seconds down on Alexandre Lute.
Well, that was well saved then.
Well, that was actually, wasn't it?
He that skid when he went into that corner, he did incredibly well to keep that upright.
Well, we walked that, didn't we? We walked the finish yesterday. We walked the final 500-600 metres into the finish line. It's a technical finish, and in the wet, even more challenging.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, you come into that final corner really with some pace after a descent, don't you?
And also the other difference is, with the likes of Edward Vremont, going into the corner where all of your weight is on the inside of the corner, particularly a wet corner, you want your weight on the outside of the pedal going around a wet corner, which he obviously can't do because he doesn't have his right leg, the majority of his right leg. So that provides like these additional challenges you're seeing with the riders that you know, going around a left-hander wet corner for his point of view is the most challenging part.
And that is really about the individuality of the riders, isn't it, in the classification, and the different challenges that they will face on different courses, and hence why some courses will suit some riders more than others, and we see some movement between the categories in terms of positions. Now, let me just give you a quick update, because we've just had that MC2 class category. At the end of lap 1, Lute 15:42. 20 plus seconds clear of Edward Vromall. But Vromall is only 1.7 seconds clear of Darren Hicks in third. So whilst Alexandre Lute is starting to establish his lead in that MC2 class, the rider on our screen at the moment, very, very close battle behind between Hicks and Vromall for second and third place.
Yeah, it is. It's a really close battle, and something we thought we'd see between Vermont and Lute, but obviously we're now seeing that between the battle for silver and bronze, with Lute obviously you know, extending his lead in the men's C2 category.
Oh, and there it is on your screen, exactly what we've just talked about, the 22-second gap between first and second, but well, not quite 2 seconds between second and third. And this is that part of the course where you're going out of town and seeing riders come back into town. As we drop back in, I'm loving that the support crew have got flags in their hats as well.
Do you think he might be from Australia too?
Well, I think there might be some giveaways there, Barney. But this is the women's C4 individual time trial. The riders getting ready to be underway. And I think we're going to see Tara Nayland coming out, the Australian rider, first. So currently out on course we have the men's C2 and the men's C1. Both of those are well and truly underway now. And the men's C1 starting to come through checkpoint 1. Andre Winhood is the rider leading that at the moment, 7 minutes 19. From Michael Tuba, 7:41. We've got a number of riders still to go through that section. And Thomas Theroux, one of those riders. So this is where Theroux is aiming for, 7:19. Currently the fastest time, Winhood, who took the bronze medal last year. Let me just tell you, only 47 seconds separated the top 4 riders in the MC1 category in Zurich last year. So as a C2 class start coming across the line.
For the MC2 category, we have the finish for one of the Spanish riders. En dan was met nummer 75 in Spanje.
Just see our rider here from Thailand, opting for a road bike here within the time trial. And as you start to see with some of the riders with the different disabilities they have, they can't all ride more kind of traditional triathlon bars you have within a time trial. So it's about the riders making the best choices for them. Aerodynamics is fantastic, but safety is kind of the most
paramount.
It is, yeah. So that's a real consideration when you start to see the lower classes, and certainly C1 is the lowest, you know, class for solo bikes.
And Tiruyut Rimsmad from Thailand, the rider on your screen at the moment. Well, he was, because we are dropping in with the finish here with the men's C2, and you can see the riders driving towards the line here, absolutely battling for those seconds, because this is such a close race in the men's C2 category. And Kawamoto, the Japanese rider, one of those riders driving towards that line. Well, he was in 4th place at the penultimate checkpoint. It's going to be interesting to see where he comes through now. He goes into 1st place at the moment over the line. Kawamoto now needs to wait. And that is one of the things about the time trial, isn't it, Barney? You have to wait till everybody's finished.
You do, yeah. You can't assume that you're because you put in a great time that you're going to, even with good time checks, you're going to end up winning the event. You have to wait for everyone to cross the line.
Well, and there's a number of other riders still out on the course at the moment, and Alexander Lute being one of them. Edward Vromont being another, Darren Hicks. All of those riders have been putting in strong performances. Edward Vromont, the defending champion, the last rider out of the start today in that men's C2.
So you probably see the slightly different colours in the number colours, I should say, again. So now we have in like the full spectrum of C1 to 5 we've seen today in this this session, with the men's and women's number colours for C1 to 5 being the same. If you see a yellow number, that's C1. If you see a black number, that is C2. A blue number, C3. A white number, C4, and red for the C5s.
Okay, Edinburgh from category men's C2 now across the line. 33.47. That will drop him into, well, around, I'm looking there at 5th place at the moment, but we've still got the dominant riders out on course, and I can tell you are now at the intermediate checkpoint. We're in with Edward Vromont at the moment. He has just gone through, the last rider to go through the penultimate checkpoint in the men's C2 class. Well, Alexandre Lute, the rider from France, who finished in the silver medal position last year, is 50 seconds up now. So 50 seconds up for Lute. Dominant performance. But what I can also tell you is the gap between 2nd and 3rd is still tiny. Vromont going through 23.05, Darren Hicks going through 23.06. So 1 second, well actually sub 1 second separating those two riders. It's getting closer. Actually it's 0.9 of a second separating silver and bronze at the moment. So the battle is really on for those minor medals, silver and bronze in the World Championships this year, as Darren Hicks drives towards the line, and you can see the big push coming in at the moment. This is so important. Whether he takes bronze, whether he takes silver, only time will tell. But Darren Hicks has now done absolutely everything he can in intention to get a medal at the 2025 Paracycling Road World Championships this year in Ronse, Belgium. That was a massive drive towards the line. It
was a great ride, and you could see the determination. He would have been given the feedback of how close it was between himself and from Belgium as well.
Well, the men's C2 category coming towards its conclusion. The men's C1 category out on the course at the moment. Just taking a look, actually, Thomas Theroux from France. France are really riding strongly here today. Has set the fastest time, 7:15 through checkpoint 1. Ricardo Tenar-Gillies, the defending champion, 7:19, so 4 seconds back, but just 100th of a second ahead of Andre Winhood, who is also riding very strongly in that category. So 4 seconds at the moment at intermediate 1, separating the top 3 riders in the men's C1 class.
Yeah, it's super quick, and the C1 riders are riding particularly quickly as well. So it would be interesting to see, if they can keep that kind of speed going.
Well, the women's C4 category underway also. I hope you're staying ahead of this at home, because we are trying our hardest in the commentary box to make sure that you know which category are where on course and how everybody is doing. Well, Samantha Bosco in the women's C4 category is the next rider out of the start pen. Bosco last year took the silver medal in the women's C4 category. Mathilde Dorrig took the win. Mathilde Dorrig not here. Bosco is. She took second place in the time trial at the first round of the World Cup this year. But we've had a real mix of riders in this class. Meg Lemon took the win in the first World Cup, which was fabulous to see. And then Grace Norman from the USA took the win in the second World Cup. Both of those riders here today.
Yeah, that's right. So Grace Norman is she was a Paralympic champion in Paris for triathlon. So we're seeing a switch, a fairly elite switch. Whether it's temporary or full time, I don't know. But certainly Grace Norman has already proven herself in another sport, and obviously this is incredibly interested to see how she'll go here.
But time trialling very much part of that triathlon discipline, of the cycling element.
Yeah, it is indeed. And the difference with the para-triathlon compared to the Olympic triathlon, you see, is it's still done as a time trial in para-triathlon, as far as I'm aware. So it's very similar to what we're seeing here today.
Well, riders coming through here now towards the finish in the men's C2 class. Darren Hicks' time is the time they are all riding against, and Eric Alali from France putting in a strong performance, but not strong enough to challenge Hicks. Hicks at the moment 32.19 is the time to beat. Only two riders on course had gone faster than Darren Hicks at the intermediate checkpoints. Lute being one of them, and take a look at that time. Alexandre Lute, I think, is riding himself to a World Championship title today. 1 minute and 8 clear of Darren Hicks. Just Edward Vromont from Belgium out on course now. Well, he set his intention, Barney, by bringing the gold bike.
He did indeed. And he's absolutely ridden it like how it should be. Yeah. Extremely quickly.
Set the intention and executed the race.
So now our eyes are very much fixed on Edouard Vromont to see if he can actually be that second place on the podium, because it's incredibly close between him and Darren Hicks from Australia.
Yes, it is, and this is a battle really for second and third place in the men's C2 as we drop in with the men's C1, and Thomas Theroux coming through at the end of lap 1. He set the fastest time at the intermediate checkpoint. He's going to set the fastest time again through the end of lap 1. Thomas Theroux, 17.06, 42 seconds clear of Tuber. Now let's not forget that the German rider Michael Tuber had taken the wins in the World Cups.
That's right. He's had a dominant World Cup season with 2 wins there in the time trial. So I don't think any of us are expecting, you know, the kind of time gaps we're seeing here, but like we've already said, the World Championships, it brings everyone's very best form to the event, and you know, the kind of performance we're seeing from the French rider is just incredible.
Well, and I have to say, in that men's C1 category, 12 seconds separate second from 6th. So the second lap is going to be very, very telling out there on the course in the men's C1 class around where those medals go. Though Thomas Theroux at the moment, well, that is looking like a dominant performance in the men's C1. So Majewski coming in, the rider from Poland in that C1 class. And a strong performance there.
Yeah, he featured well in the World Championships last year in Zurich. So we expect him to be, you know, to the fore in this category. But yeah, without doubt, the leading French rider is putting out a really strong performance.
So Vromont still driving towards the finish.
He's just got to navigate these last few corners to get himself on the podium.
And he'll be mindful of the corner with the slip last time coming round. But it's not as wet this time. The rain has now stopped here and it is drying up. So the final drive, and you can hear the crowds here in Belgium cheering home the home rider, Edward Vromel from Belgium. He's driving through, and it is going to be third place today for Vromel. Hicks, well, Darren Hicks is going to take the silver medal today. Edward Vromel will take bronze. Alexandre Lute, a dominant ride from him as the new world champion for 2025 in the men's C2 time trial. I think someone's just told Hicks that he's got a silver medal.
He sounded quite surprised, I think, didn't he?
Well, Darren Hicks taken by surprise because at the intermediate checkpoint, the final checkpoint, he was in the bronze medal position. His ride, his drive, his push to the line has ridden him into the silver. One very happy rider, I think, there, Barney.
Very happy and a little bit surprised as well.
Absolutely brilliant.
Great to see. We're back with Theroux from France here, who looks incredibly good on the bike. Very metronomic with the cadence and position-wise as well.
Now, the dangerous city is the turn corner.
So the top three in the men's C2.
We were also struggling with the corners.
Andre Lute,
Page Greco.
Darren Hicks and Edward Vromel.
On a couple.
Talking about the changes in road surface.
They were indeed, and also the we're just seeing a slight change in the men's C1 after lap one.
Yeah, we are indeed. Interesting.
Couldn't let me win, no?
So the riders now, the Belgian rider Vromel, just checking with Hicks why he couldn't let him win, and obviously not allowing him to win in front of a home crowd. Darren Hicks, the Australian rider, not giving any leeway to the Belgian Vromel.
No, not at all. It's a world championship, and no centimetre is given at these world championships.
I really do.
But
it's fabulous.
And it's great to see that camaraderie between the three riders as well.
It is. So let's just take a quick time check with the C1 category. We're in with Thomas Theroux, the French rider. At the first checkpoint, he was up. At the second checkpoint, well, he isn't, because Ricardo Tenar-Gillis has got his pacing strategy well. He's looking good at the moment. And Tenar-Gillis, the defending champion from Zurich, now going through at the end of lap 1, 16:59, 7 seconds clear of Theroux.
Yeah, you can just see the compact style of Ricardo Tenar-Gillis, and you can see the different adaptations he has with his bike as well. Yeah, some amazing kind of adaptations that allows him to not only brake but also change gear and ride incredibly fast, like he's showing us now.
Yeah, it's fabulous, isn't it, to watch?
It is, yeah.
An absolute master at what he does. Well, and an absolute master at pacing as well, Barney, because he didn't panic out at the start at all, did he, the defending champion? He was quite happy to accept that he wasn't in the lead at intermediate 1, but he was in the lead at the end of lap 1, which is probably where he wanted to be. Yeah,
and I think we're seeing a slight problem here with Theroux.
Yeah.
He has some sort of problem. I saw him...
Keeps checking, doesn't he?
Yeah, prior to our shot with Ricardo Tenar-Gillis then, he was moving his right arm across his body, so whether he has some sort of injury that he's trying to overcome, he's clearly struggling and starting to really suffer with the pace.
So I think we're going to get a quick replay of that, Barney. Let's just take a little look. Yeah.
So what do we think is wrong? I think it's either shoulder related or arm related. Why he was kind of trying to ease his shoulder in that position. So whether he's carrying an injury or something has been happened within the ride, we'll have to find out later.
And not something as a rider you would want others to know at the start.
No, it isn't. No, I mean, the majority of athletes and riders, you always have some sort of niggle or injury you're kind of overcoming, usually kind of physio to help sort that out. But yeah, clearly he has an issue now, and whether it's happened in the race or, you know, before the race, we'll find out later.
Well, the women's C4 class is also underway. Andrea Tyson from the USA on our screens at the moment. I'm just going to take a little rundown of where we sat with the women's C4 at the first intermediate checkpoint. Just double checking I've got everybody through that section. I do indeed. So Tara Nayland in one, the rider from Australia, 7 minutes 21 seconds, 5 seconds clear of Samantha Bosco. And a further 3 seconds clear of Meg Lemon. Grace Norman 3 seconds further back. So, well, within 10 seconds at that checkpoint, 4 riders in the women's C4 class.
Yeah, that's right, and it's yeah, it's very competitive in that class, and you can see, yeah, you can just see Nayland coming across the line now. And looking incredibly strong. Nayland
really interesting. First rider out of the start in the women's C4 category. So she's got no riders from her category ahead of her, but she really is driving on. And I'm imagining from a motivation perspective, some riders like to be ahead, don't they? Others like to close down and chase.
Yeah, they do indeed, and that's it's a great. You know, she's new to these World Championships, so it's great being first out. There's no pressure on her. Just go out and, you know, enjoy yourself, ride as fast as you can, and obviously you're seeing that now already.
Yeah, you are. So Nayland 7:21 at the first checkpoint, 5 seconds clear of Bosco, 8 seconds clear of Lemon, 10 seconds clear of Norman. But by no way is that set for the medals in that women's C4 category. The women's C3 class now heading out from the start. Now, riders here from last year. Beck, the defending champion, isn't here. Whitmore, who took the silver medal, is. So Jamie Whitmore from the USA is indeed here. The other rider who is here is Paula Calabaros Perez, the rider from Colombia who took the bronze medal last year. Now, Whitmore has been having a good season in the World Cup. She's had a second and a first in the time trial. But the other 2 riders not taking part in that. And the Colombian rider we've not seen so far.
No, we haven't. No, so we'll hopefully catch that rider soon. Just see Jamie Whitmore on the start line here, ready to start her time trial.
There she goes, Jamie Whitmore, silver medalist of last year.
So Jamie Whitmore out of the start, and big drive, Barney, big push there at the start, and getting up into pace as quickly as possible.
Yeah, you can see the determination already to get away as quickly as possible. Seeing a few riders here.
Well, we're in with Meg Lemon at the moment at the back of this group, and she's got a number of, I think she's got, let's just take a quick look at this. I think she's got...
Andrea Chernick-Tyson.
Yep.
Who she's just overtaken.
She has indeed. So the rider from the USA, who was her minute marker, and then 3 riders in the men's classification as well. And she is working her way through and past the group. So multiple courses on the time trial course at the moment here in Ronse, Belgium. Our commissaires are out on course to check everybody overtakes and is in the right position and the right place at the right time. It doesn't impede anybody else in a different class. As we continue to see riders come out from the start. Well, the Australian rider clear of the traffic out on course. So just taking a look, we've had 2 riders through and over the line at the end of lap 1. Grace Norman coming through 17:15, but Tara Nayland coming through 16:56 is currently the time to beat. Actually, Lemon is not going to come through ahead of Nayland at the end of lap 1.
3, 2.
Well, Clara Brown from the USA in the start at the moment. The rider in the women's C3 class. She's the final rider away. The two riders from the USA, Whitmore and Brown, in this class. Strong, Barney.
Yeah, they are indeed, and yeah, you can just see Meg Lemon here coming through in second place in the C4 category currently.
Well, and going out on to her second lap. Strong riding from Lemon as well at the moment. So we've got a number of riders out on course at the moment, and I'm going to give you an update on the men's C1 category because we are indeed about to start seeing riders come through to the finish line as we're looking at Cyril Berthaud from Belgium. 36:07 is going to be the time he sets, but the men's C1, he is indeed the first rider over the line. At the penultimate checkpoint, it was Ricardo Ten Argylis, the defending champion, 24:36. Well, 28 seconds clear of Massajuski. So Massajuski coming through into second place. He's a silver medalist from last year. Interesting to see if he can hold that, 25:04. So some, well, you know, 28 seconds differential there. He too, 13 seconds clear ahead of Thomas Theroux, the rider we were in with, who looked like he was having problems out on course. Piacenza a little further back, around 15 seconds down in fourth place. So Piacenza through and across the line in that men's C1 category already. Currently set a strong time of 35:28. That's currently the time to beat. Well, multiple classes out on course at the moment. And constant riders everywhere we look, Barney. How is that as a competitor?
I think as a competitor, you only see the riders that are around you, so you don't see this like wall-to-wall coverage that we've got. So you know who your minute, your 2-minute rider is, and also your minute rider behind you. And that's generally your only kind of focus if you see a rider overtaking you. If there are riders from other categories that either overtake you or get involved in your racing line, you just ignore them and get on with your race, and that's the crucial thing.
Well, the women's C2 down in the start at the moment. Florina Ringli from Switzerland is the defending champion here. She's also taken a win in the first World Cup. However, she didn't take the win in the second World Cup. That went to Schrager. Schrager not on the start lines here. So it's going to be an interesting ride. As to whether that home advantage last year played any part in Ringling's win, or whether she can defend that today.
Yeah, she was incredibly strong last year in Zurich, and if you cast your mind back to her second time trial she rode in the road race, when she rode away from everyone.
No, that is really true.
And put in a huge ride to open up a gap, a significant gap between her and her opponents.
So Marco Tuba coming over the line in the men's C1 class, slotting in behind So Ricardo Ten Argylis, the rider currently leading the men's C1 at the last checkpoint, still looking so smooth, Barney.
Yeah, he is, and you can just see the gear adjustments he's making, the kind of mild braking, going around these corners with very carefully kind of braking on that central part. So he takes his arm out of his prosthetic socket and then uses that for his braking and potentially gear changing as well.
Well, he's on the run back in towards town. At the penultimate checkpoint, he was 32 seconds clear of Masajewski in second place. And well, it's going to be interesting to see whether he can hold that now right the way through till the finish. This rider, Masajewski from Poland, in second, and had ridden himself into second place at that penultimate checkpoint. He slowly worked his way through the field, actually. Really great pacing from the rider from Poland. He's coming in towards the finish. You can tell the crowds, the umbrellas are down. It's now dry, and hold on to your hats because the sun is trying to come out here in Belgium. So Masajewski from Poland in the men's C1 category, coming towards the finish line at the moment. The fastest time so far in that competition, Tuba, 35:40 is the time to beat, and he is driving towards the final 300 metres. So Thomas Theroux comes round the corner and is pushing on here. Theroux seems to have picked up the pace a little bit here. He's going to fight with Sense for that lower places. Oh, he's going to be so close there. But Pierre Senska is going to finish ahead of Thomas Theroux by 0.37 of a second. As we see Masajewski come through here, 45 seconds up on Senska. I think we may well see Theroux having gone down into fourth place, and Pierre Senska may well be looking at a bronze medal.
Yeah, it's been an amazing turnaround if he manages to get onto the podium for the time trial. It would be quite unexpected for Senska, but yeah, still very possible.
With a nice ambience and lots of love.
Well, Ricardo Tenar-Gillies is now coming towards the centre of town where the finish line is located in the men's C1 classification. At the moment, Pierre Senska, honestly, he's been under the radar, the German rider, all the way through this course. And each checkpoint, he's been getting better and better and better. Phenomenal pacing strategy from the German rider, Senska, to come through 35:28. Currently in first. Thomas Theroux, well, 0.4 of a second back in third. And we've got Ricardo Tenar-Gillies, the rider we are waiting in that men's C1 category to come through across the line. Well, there he is, and you can see he's coming up towards the finish. He's coming up to the 500 metre to go banner. He's at 33. Within the time of Pierre Senska, all he's got to do is get that bike over the line.
That's the hardest bit sometimes.
How many times have you told a rider, you've still got to get the bike over the line?
Absolutely. And I mean, he's an amazing bike handler as well, so you can just see him kind of floating around these final few corners before we see, you know, how he gets on at the finish.
Well, there we go. He swings himself into the final finale here in Ronse in Belgium, and he is going to dominate the men's C1 class. He started steady, but he got quicker and quicker and quicker. Ricardo Tenar-Gillies is going to retain his World Championship title from Zurich here in Ronse, Belgium. He's going to be the World Champion for the 2025 Paracycling Road World Championships in the men's C1 class. Well, back down in the start. Florina Ringelig, the rider from Switzerland who took that title last year in Zurich. Look at concentration on her face. A serious moment for the rider from Switzerland defending her title. It's going to be interesting to see how she goes here in the women's C2 class.
Yeah, it is the how she rode last year was well, yeah, just a great display of power, and obviously the year before in Glasgow she actually punctured in the time trial, so her gold medal chances were reduced in Glasgow because she did have a puncture and quite a long delay. So she managed to overturn that in Zurich, so she'll be hoping to repeat that World Championship success in the time trial today.
I am just having a little look at the moment at the intermediate checkpoints here for the women's C3 class. A couple of riders have now come through at the end of lap 1, but most of the riders now through. Just doing a double check, I think there's only Brown who's not through at the moment, and at that point, well, currently leading the women's C1 at intermediate checkpoint 1, Marie Quellhorst from Germany. 7 minutes 53. She is 8 seconds clear of Emily Petricola, the rider from Australia. Jamie Whitmore, the rider from the USA, in third, a further 16 seconds back, as we see Riccardo Tenargilis celebrating his win.
Dios, vamos!
It's great seeing the celebrations after the effort that's been made.
Absolutely.
We just see Alison Jones here. She's a summer Paralympian and also a winter Paralympian as well for skiing. So yeah, multi-talented Jones, who has been around quite a while now.
Well, the women's C1 individual time trial athletes down in the holding area at the start at the moment. They're going to be our final category away today here as the sun shines in Ronse, Belgium for the UCI 2025 Paracycling Road World Championships. It's the final class away in our individual time trial, and Frances Brown has been dominant in this category for a number of years. She's not here today to defend that title. So the women's C1 class, just one lap here in Ronse, Belgium, as we see the riders driving towards the line in the women's C4, and big push there because it is such a close competition out there on the course. That is indeed the Australian rider driving towards the finish line, Tara Nayland. Nayland leading the category at the penultimate checkpoint. In fact, a really strong ride from her. The first rider out of the start in the women's C4. Well, I'll tell you something, it was close at that penultimate checkpoint between Nayland and Norman. Just 15 seconds. Still looking to see some of the other riders going through there. Well, the riders in that C1, Talia Clayton-Goody from Australia, the next rider away.
There she goes at the sunshine in Ronse again, Talia Clayton.
Oh, you can see the riders coming over the line absolutely thick and fast at the moment in the multiple categories we've got out on course, and pushing on really fast here. Just trying to take a look. Nayland through and over the line in the women's C4 class. Norman Bosco and Lemon, all very, very tight at the intermediate checkpoint. And when I say very, very tight at the intermediate checkpoint before the finish, I am talking 1 second covering those 3 riders. In second, third and fourth place, 15 seconds down on Tara Nayland's time. So this race in the women's C4 is going to go down to the wire like we've seen in some of the other categories, and Meg Lemon, the rider on your screen, is going to be part and parcel of that. Marie Krellhorst in the C3 class, she's riding strongly, the rider from Germany, currently setting the fastest time at the end of lap 1. She's got another lap to go out onto the course at the moment. She's got a good gap at the moment, actually, 15 seconds to Emily Petrakova in that class. So Krellhorst riding really strongly. Nayland, I think, is going to be an interesting one to watch here. She is across the line, 33 minutes 51 seconds. 14 seconds clear of Grace Norman. She is also through. But Norman, one of the riders in the mix for silver and bronze. Norman, Bosco and Lemon. Those 3 riders at the intermediate checkpoint, all within 1 second of each other.
Yeah, it's getting incredibly close in that C4 category, and carrying on our trend of extremely close racing today, which we can't call, and we can't wait to see what the conclusion is at the finish line either.
Well, watching the riders out on course at the moment, Mika Hasberger in the C2 class, those riders just starting to come through the first intermediate checkpoint. And I tell you, Hasberger is putting in a phenomenal performance. She's gone through at checkpoint 1, 40 seconds clear of her closest to competitor, Alison Jones.
Wow, that's a really fast start by Hasberger, isn't it?
It is, bearing in mind we've still got 1 or 2 riders still to come through that checkpoint in that women's C2 class, but a phenomenal start from Hasberger. Well, we're in with Meg Lemon as she comes in towards the final sections of this time trial course here in Ronse. This is the final corner, and now we're going to see a really big push for the line, Barney, because this time is really going to count.
Yeah, every second counts here, doesn't it?
It does indeed, and we see her come over the line, finishing in 34.19. That's going to drop her into 3rd place at the moment. Oh, Nayland in 1, Norman in 2, Lemon in 3. But we've got riders out on the course who could disrupt that in the women's C4 category. Samantha Bosco is the one we are looking for. The American rider, she was the one who was in the mix with Norman and Lemon out at the intermediate checkpoint. There she, oh, I've nearly said there she is, but it's not. It's Clara Brown in the C3 coming through at the end of lap 1. Brown going to be leading that out on to lap number 2. So Clara Brown from the USA sets the fastest time in the women's C3 at the end of lap 1. She's 11 seconds clear of Marie Krellhorst, and Emily Petrakova is a further 15 seconds back. So those 3 riders in the women's C3 class, around 15 seconds separating first from second, and around 15 seconds separating second from third. Third to fourth, well, that's 6 seconds differential, so a little bit closer. Going to be interesting to see where that goes out as well on this final lap.
Just see Alison Jones here in the C2 category.
Well, Samantha Bosco from the USA driving towards the line. This is all about where she sits in the medal position, and she is going to finish in 4th place today in that women's C4 category. Wow, what a ride. How close was that racing? Tara Nayland, the first rider out of the pen in the women's C4 class for Australia, the new world champion in the women's C4 individual time trial. Grace Norman, the rider from the USA, will take the silver medal, and Meg Lemon from Australia will take the bronze. 2 riders from Australia, gold and bronze in that women's C4 class, Barney.
Yeah, it's a category they've always been very, very good at, Australia, since the start of the C classes. So yeah, it's not a surprise to see them kind of develop further talent within that category. As we just see a great side-on shot of Florina Riegling, who's actually 2 seconds down on our German leader Hausberger at intermediate 1.
Well, we saw Tenan Gillies overturn a deficit at intermediate 1 with a steady start. He just got stronger and stronger and stronger, and that was obviously his type of pacing. Do you think we're going to see a similar type of thing here?
Yeah, I think we will. I think with the experience of Riegling, and she will get faster as the event goes on. And for a case of, you know, looking at, you know, Hausberger, I think she'll be very happy to be in the lead, but it's just a case of her, you know, just trying to hang on to that speed now out in front.
Well, Vanessa Law's coming through in the women's C4 class. As out on the course we drop back in with indeed Florina Riegling from Switzerland, and she's riding and riding strongly. Now let me just take a little look. The women's C2, Hausberger through checkpoint 1, 7:54, Riegling 7:56, Alison Jones 8:44. Hausberger and Riegling are a class apart at the moment in that women's C2 race. In the women's C3 race, let me just take a look. Clara Brown setting the fastest time at the end of lap 1, and 18:03. Marie Quellhorst, the rider from Germany, in 2, 18:14. Emily Petricola in 3, the rider from Australia, 18:29. From a nation's perspective, Barney, we've been talking about a number of different nations. We've talked about Uzbekistan bringing a young team and seeing them first in Zurich last year. Australia have got a really strong team, it looks like here, you know, as we've seen this afternoon in this afternoon session. The USA as well. We've talked about the French team and the French riders as well. You know, there are some really strong nations, but also some emerging nations as well, aren't there?
Yeah, there are indeed, and we've seen that throughout these World Championships. It's great to see so many different nations. You're not your typical traditional cycling nations are still there, but they're being pushed and by some, you know, some new nations emerging, which is great to see for the development of the sport.
And then do their nations then, I don't want to use the phrase sit on their laurels, but sit on the tradition of the fact they've been good, or does that push really make them drive forward too?
Oh no, I think it works both ways. I think that competition makes everyone's standard, you know, rise as high as it can be, and you'll see that throughout all the categories as well. You know, you'll see standards gradually improving. You know, just the average speeds of the races today tell you an awful lot about that. It's so fast.
Annika Hausberger from Germany in the women's C2 class. Really continuing to move here. So Clara Brown on our screen, the rider from the USA. She was the last rider out of the pen in the women's C3 class. They should be the next group of racers to finish the individual time trial. Well, she's coming towards the penultimate checkpoint, Barney. Currently, Quellhorse has gone through there in 26:33, and an almost identical time, 26:33.4, 26:33.9, Quellhorst and Petricola. Petricola, the Australian rider, Quellhorst, the German rider. Petricola has put in a phenomenal second lap so far to close that gap down. It's going to be interesting to see where Brown slots in.
Yeah, it is indeed. Yeah, you can see, you know, Clara Brown really kind of pushing the pace now and trying to make sure that she gets in front of both Quellhorst and Petricola. You can see Brown starting to catch a rider up ahead with the vehicle being pulled over.
Yes, and indeed, so the motorbike just ahead. Now, at the previous intermediate, which was the end of lap 1, Brown was in the lead. Quellhorst and Petricola, you can see the gap between them. That has been brought down. So Emily Petricola, the rider from Australia, really putting in and driving hard on that second lap and looking like it's really strengthening her performance and bringing that gap down. So we could see Petricola from Australia go over the top of Quellhorst and move into that silver medal position. But of course, only time will tell. Well, Clara Brown, whether she stays in that lead position, we will know very, very shortly because she is about to come through that checkpoint.
So it's like Emily Petricola here. Yep.
It is indeed. So as Brown goes through the penultimate checkpoint, Petricola comes through and across the line. She's going to set the time to beat in this women's C3 category. 36:35. Dead. I love it when the clock gets stopped without any, you know, hundredths, thousandths or tenths of seconds. Well, Clara Brown out on the course at the moment, and we're waiting for her to come through the checkpoint, and come through the checkpoint she has. 26:06, so Brown still dominant. She's 27 seconds clear at the intermediate checkpoint before the finish. The battle really for me then, Barney, is between Petricola and Quellhorst for second and third as to who takes away silver and who takes away bronze.
Yeah, it is indeed. It's incredibly close, as we're seeing in the other races as well. You know how close these margins are between these riders. But our clear leader at the minute being Brown. But yeah, I can't wait to see that battle between Quellhorst behind him, Petricola.
Oh, Mika Hasburg out on course in the women's C2 class. She'd been putting in a really strong performance, the German rider, and had been driving fast. We're waiting to see those C2 category women come through at the end of lap 1. There they are. You can start to see the riders coming through. But let's just take a little bit of a look. So Mika Hasburger, 18:01. Florina Rigling, 18:11. 10 seconds separating them. The defending champion is 10 seconds down at the end of lap 1. They are clear from third place by 1 minute and 10 seconds. This is a 2-rider race now, Barney, in the women's C2 class. They've got one more lap to go. And, well, 10 seconds separating the defending champion from what could be the new world champion.
I know, it's another fascinating race that we're, and you can see the style of Rigling. She does look very calm and relaxed and composed, and I would imagine that the pace is going to be relatively even for her time trial as well. So that will make a difference on lap 2, certainly when she's trying to claw some of that time back.
Well, we were just in with Victoria Barbosa in the C1 category from Brazil. We are indeed going to have a new world champion in the women's C1 class because the defending champion and the silver medalist from Zurich not here today. So 3 riders who haven't medalled at the World Championships before on the start line and out on the course. So this is wriggling going past her 2-minute rider, Sabrina Custodia de Silva. She's having a storming ride, the defending champion, but so is Mika Hasburger from Germany.
Yeah, it is great to see the battle between these two riders.
There we go. It is in numbers on your screen at the moment. So Hasburger 18:01 at the end of lap 1, wriggling the defending champion 10 seconds back. Then over a minute to 3rd place. Alison Jones is the rider there. Just starting to look and see the women's C3 class coming through the line. Emily Petricola still sitting in the lead there, 36-35. We are waiting for Quellhorst and Brown and Whitmore et al. To come through in that women's C3 category. It was close out on course, and no.
So that is Clara Brown. So this is going to change everything now. She's having to change wheels, and that will probably take about 45 seconds at the very best. So we're going to see a change potentially in the leading position as well as position 2, 3, 4.
Well, she had a 27-second lead on 2nd place at the penultimate checkpoint, but this is the last section of the course, Barney. It's the last section of lap 2. She had 27 seconds, Clara Brown over Marie Quellhorst at 1st and 2nd, Emily Petricola in 3rd. This is seriously going to ruin her time trial.
Yeah, it's a really slow change, and in situations like this in the time trials, you see a wheel change here. A bike change is far quicker. Even though you'd be onto a road bike potentially rather than a time trial bike, that's going to save you way more time than the position that Brown has found herself in now. So often a quick bike change on a slightly slower bike will save you more time in the long run. And she might have been a quick bike change to a road bike, she might have still been in a position to win.
Well, we're going to see here. The replay, there goes the call, there goes the look down, the rear tyre. She's very quickly indicated. Yeah,
she has, and I think where she kind of crossed that concrete part on the road, she obviously quickly heard the wheel either pop in the tyre, and it doesn't look like it's going down that quickly. Oh, she's feeling it now. Yeah, it does look like it's a rear wheel puncture. So she's now back up and running, and can only hope that she's able to pull some of that time back. But it's going to be really tricky for her to try and overcome that, you know, a relatively slow wheel change to get back into the lead again.
Well, mechanicals are one part of bike racing, but oh, you have to feel for her.
Yeah, you do indeed, and I think you always have to. I think whenever you're looking at bike racing, you have to always prepare for the unexpected and be aware that you have to be ready for the unexpected. So if you do have a puncture, if you need to change a wheel, if you need to change a bike, you need to be ready to go and know what to do. And I think having indecision sometimes is it just wastes more time. So the indecision of, you know, the first 10 seconds of the mechanics and the support staff getting out of the car actually delays everything and makes it a lot harder.
Well, Talia Clayton-Goody in the women's C1 class coming towards the finish line at the moment, pushing and driving as she comes in to the finish line here in Ronse. The Australian rider in the C1 class will now complete her World Championship time trial. So Clayton-Goody, I think, will come through for the gold medal there. We're going to have to wait and see. At the intermediate checkpoint, she was up from Barbosa, from Brazil, by 3 minutes.
Yeah, she was.
Well, Marie Quellhorst comes through in the women's C3 category over the line, 36.57. That is a slower time than Emily Petricola. So currently Petricola still in the top spot.
There goes Lara Oleszewski for Germany.
So Wilczynski from Germany coming in and finishing her race as well. As we drop back out onto the course with Clara Brown, she was leading the women's C3 category at the penultimate checkpoint by 27 seconds. She's had a real world puncher and a will change. That was not the speediest, but she's very quickly back into her rhythm, Barney.
Yeah, she is indeed, and you can see that. And when you get to a point like this in a race, you just have to put what's happened, you know, a few kilometres ago to the back of your mind and really focus on the here and the now and making sure that you're applying the power and then back on your strategy for your race. These things do happen in bike racing. It's just a case of moving on very quickly and seeing how you go. But as we can see, there's still a significant time gap coming up.
Well, there is Jamie Whitmore in that C3 class coming round and driving towards the finish line, confirmed there at 36.35. It is indeed Emily Petricola who is still leading the class. Whitmore comes in and drops into third place. Now, the one thing about Clara Brown with that real world puncher is you don't know what's going on with the rest of your competitors in an individual time trial.
No, not necessarily. She might not necessarily have that feedback to her at that point, and she might not know how much time she has. So generally, if you're lucky enough to have 40 or 45 seconds, that's a bike change. You know, if you can get over a problem, it's a bike change, you know, time allowance in there to be able to do it. But I think her time gap wasn't big enough for even a bike change. So I think she was really up against it in terms of you know, being able to come out of this, the other side of this incident, still in the lead. But yeah, for her, it was still it's awful to watch when a rider's waiting and waiting and waiting to get back on with their race, because it does take time sometimes to get these mechanical incidents sorted.
Well, I'm going to give you the information because Emily Petricola, the rider on our screen at the moment, 36 minutes 35 seconds in one. Quellhorst, the German rider, 36.57 in two. That is where we are at. We are waiting for Clara Brown to come over the line, but she is outside both of those riders' time. She's going to be battling to make the podium at the moment. She's going to be battling and taking the bronze medal if she can come under the line inside the clock. Yes, she can. So she's gone with that rear wheel puncher from the gold medal position to the bronze. Emily Petricola from Australia will take the gold medal today and the World Championship title in the women's C3 category. There she is. The emotion is written all over her face.
Yeah, that's one.
Well, I can tell you, whilst Emily Petricola lets that moment sink in, Maria Quellhorst from Germany will take the silver medal in the women's C3 class, and Clara Brown will take the bronze from the USA. Well, let's drop in with the women's C2 whilst I can hold myself together. Oh, bike racing is emotional. I absolutely love it. Well, Florina Ringling from the Swiss team, the defending champion in the women's C2 class. She had a steadier start, Barney, on lap one. She's now really coming into her own on lap two, the penultimate checkpoint she's just gone through. 26.13. She's 3 seconds now ahead of Mika Hasberger from Germany. Those two riders, they have been battling it out. Florina Ringling has overturned a 10-second deficit to go clear by 3 seconds of Hasberger on lap two. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it is indeed, and we just see our second finisher in women's
C1 class. Yep, absolutely brilliant riding there. Shukri coming over the line, Nurana Shukri coming over the line there in that women's C1 class.
With a time of 26.
And again, you can see the emotion. Young rider, but full of emotion at this World Championships.
Yeah, you can indeed. And oh, here we are as the battle for the second and third place in this one.
Yeah, it is indeed. So Talia Clayton-Goody from Australia coming through in 1934. This is Victoria Barbosa from Brazil. Looks like she's going to take away the silver medal in that women's C1 category today. All the way to the line.
Yeah. That's like we've already kind of said, you've got to make sure, get everything out all the way to the line as we, that's exactly what this rider will be doing on our screen next, Florina Wriggling.
Well, this is the final battle of the day, the women's C2 category.
Where's Annick? I can't see her.
At the final checkpoint, Florina Wriggling 3 seconds clear of Mika Hasberger.
Right.
But the riders in the women's C1 category celebrating.
Yeah, they are indeed. The Australian team have done incredibly well in this this afternoon session, and they're very much celebrating at the moment.
Oh, and it's fabulous to see. Well, Talia Clayton-Goody in that women's C1 class, the new world champion from Australia. Well, this is the battle here in the women's C2 class that we are now witnessing. It's the last race out on the course today. Mika Hasberger in this C2 class has held the lead through the first two intermediate checkpoints. Florina Wriggling, the defending champion from Switzerland, has slowly been clawing her way back with a really strong lap 2, and she's overturned a 10-second deficit at the end of lap 1. To a 3-second lead at the intermediate checkpoint on lap 2. They are now coming towards the finish line, and it is going to be a really interesting battle. The two riders clear at that intermediate checkpoint by 1.5 minutes of Alison Jones, who was lying in the bronze medal position. So going to be a really interesting ride to the line for both of these competitors in the women's C2 class. So Hasberger from Germany now coming towards the finish. She's taking the applause of the crowd who are standing along the barriers. It's a Friday here. It's the final day of the individual time trial at the UCI 2025 Paracycling Road World Championships. Tomorrow we start the road racing as we see the competitors in this C2 class coming over the line. This is Munvar Flores from Colombia.
Time of 39 minutes and 24 seconds.
It's going to be interesting to see where she finishes today, lying in 4th at that intermediate checkpoint. You can hear the encouragement, Barney, from the team car. They know this is close and they know this is going to come to the wire. And it's the race between the two riders here. Hasberger is going to come onto the finish straight first, and she knows this is a massive push now because this is for the gold medal. This is gold and silver coming down to the wire in the women's C2 category. 36.17. Well, 36.18, that is the time that the Swiss rider and defending champion needs to beat. That's a look of there's not much more I could have done.
No, it isn't. And we're just waiting for Wriggling now. Still that rhythmic style she has, and looks incredibly smooth still before we see her at the finish line.
So Mika Hasberger from Germany started 3 minutes ahead of Florina Wriggling from Switzerland. Wriggling, that defending champion. but it is going to be really interesting. I'm also looking for Alison Jones at the moment to see whether she is over the line in that women's C2 class. She's not at the moment, so that is going to be an interesting way. In fact, there she is. I knew she must be around somewhere very, very close, but Alison Jones driving towards the line here. She could well take the bronze medal today, and I think with that time she is indeed. So she goes into second place behind Hasberger, but we've now really just got Florina Wriggling out on the course. So Alison Jones will take third place today and the bronze medal in that women's C2 category.
Yeah, and she looks super happy with that as well when she crossed the line. You just see Wriggling coming up to the kilometres, within the kilometres to go now.
She is indeed. 35:03, 36:18 is the target time. It is indeed going to be very close here today. Barney's covered his eyes in the commentary box. He can't watch. I hope you can, because there's 500 metres to go, and this is going to be a really close call for the defending champion from Zurich here today in Ronse, Belgium, for the 2025 Paracycling Road World Championships. This is our final individual time trial out on course, and it is going to the wire. Mika Hausberger from Germany has set the fastest time so far, 36 minutes, 18 seconds at 0.67, and I'm going to say 0.67 because it may well be important, but Florina Wriggling will shortly be coming on to the home straight, and take a look at that. It is indeed going to come to the wire. I think she's done enough, Barney. Well, Barney gives me the thumbs up. He thinks she's done enough as well as she comes over the line and she defends that World Championship title she won in Zurich last year. The World Champion in the women's C2 time trial for 2025. Florina Wriggling does the double from Switzerland. Mika Hausberger will take the silver medal in that women's C2 class, and Alison Jones from the USA will take bronze.
Yeah, what a close, what a fantastic race to finish the afternoon session with, and a great battle back from Wriggling after being down at that initial time split.
Amazing, and Veronica Rodriguez Pulido from Spain coming in to finish her race, and she will indeed slot into fourth place. Fabulous racing from her.
Yeah, it is indeed, and another rider who's developing rider within the category, and well, I'm sure we'll see more from her in the years to come too.
Hey, Fox, dat David. Super gemaakt. Kom, maak er snel af. Drinken.
Well, the moments after you cross the finish line, and I'm not sure she realises she's won. She does now, but she knew it was close out there on the course, and Florina Wriggling celebrates in style. The new world champion for 2025, defended her 2024 title that she took in Zurich last year. Absolute joy from the rider from Switzerland. The celebrations start now.
They will indeed, and it's great to see the result for Wriggling. And what an absolutely brilliant performance for her out on the course. How smooth she was, her cane, she just looked absolutely fantastic out on the course. So yeah, an absolutely brilliant performance by Wriggling.
That's so good. Yeah. Good job.
Hey, wieder Champagne heute, ne?
You for the champagne, please.
Already talking about the champagne. I like the Swiss riders' style.
I think we need to make friends with them in the hotel, don't we?
Well, I think, I have to say, the Swiss team are indeed staying in the same hotel that we are, Barney and I, in the commentary box, and the support and the camaraderie amongst the team, not just the riders, but the support staff as well. And I can probably say to you that there will be champagne and celebrations, and I love that, Barney. I know the road racing is still to come, but making and taking the opportunity to celebrate the achievement in the time trial, absolutely crucial.
It is indeed. That's the reason why we see all these fantastic competitors racing. It's because they love racing and they want to compete. And seeing that celebration is fantastic as we see our historic train station here in Ronse.
Well, I'm going to call Sabrina de Silva over the line for Brazil, and then we're going to talk about the railway station because it is really interesting. But Sabrina Custodia de Silva comes across the line from Brazil to complete her race and go into 6th place. Fabulous racing there. Oh, giving it everything to the line. Exceptionally happy to be here at the World Championships. Now, interestingly, I am going to mention the railway station here in Ronse is one of the oldest in Europe. In 1871, they took down the railway station in Bruges and they rebuilt it here in Ronse in 1881. So the railway station that you've just seen on our shot, yes, it is in Ronse, but it was originally the railway station in Bruges in 1871 until it was dismantled and rebuilt here. Who knew?
Well, I think that's a definite fact of the day.
Well, talking about rebuilding and creating structures and things that look beautiful, our riders have put in some phenomenal time trial performances out on the course here in Ronse, Belgium, for the UCI 2025 Paracycling Road World Championships. Barney, what's your takeaway from the 2 time trial days?
Very close racing, I think, is the takeaway compared to Zurich last year, where we did have some close races, but the amount of riders who are so closely matched at these World Championships has been my biggest, well, surprise, I think, at these World Championships. And it shows the competition that, you know, the sport of paracycling is very much on the up, and the standard is very much improving all round.
Well, and it really bodes well, doesn't it? We've got 2 more days of competition here in Ronse, and we move from the time trials to the road racing tomorrow. And we'll talk tomorrow when you join Barney and I. It's an early start tomorrow. At 10 to 9, we go live on air, Central European time, for the first session tomorrow. 2 sessions, a morning session and an afternoon session. The road racing, well, if the time trials are anything to go by, the road racing will be exceptionally close. And there will be some strategic tactical battles out there on the course around Flanders, which is where we are in Belgium. Now, Belgium, very well known for its road racing, Barney.
It is indeed, and it's well, I think historic is a word we can use for this region we're in Flanders, and the surrounding area has so many famous climbs, which the climbs we'll be using in the road race have been used in iconic races in Flanders as well.
Well, we'll be adding to that historic nature of road racing in Belgium tomorrow, because that is where we start 2 days of the road races at the 2025 Paracycling Road World Championships. The 2 days of time trials are done and complete. Look at that. The Australian team have had such a strong day of competition today.
Yeah, they have indeed, and it's great to see that celebration. And yeah, I hope they afford themselves a little celebration tonight before we move on to the road races.
Absolutely brilliant and really, really good. And we're going to hear from some of those winners very shortly in the interviews. But right now we are enjoying the celebration and the emotion of what it means to medal at a World Championships.
Yeah, it is, and I think because we see a lot of the ceremonies, a lot of the awards, and you can dive very deeply into each of those individuals, each of those riders who have succeeded, various kind of battles against adversity through whether that's training or whether that's anything else happening within their life. There's always a story behind each medal, and it's great that we're able to kind of see that emotion after the race is finished.
Well, we're getting shots of the surrounding area around Ronse in Belgium. These are indeed the areas that the riders will be tackling out on the road race. It's rolling terrain, it is not flat. The laps which we will talk about tomorrow that make up the road race course, there is indeed climbing in that first 4 kilometres on the lap, and it's not insignificant at all. And the tactics and strategies at play are going to be really interesting as we roll through those road race days. But today it's been all about the time trials, and it's going to be interesting to see how those individual strengths play out when they all come together as a pack away from the start line. Well, the women's C5 individual time trial results on your screen. Alana Forster, 33 minutes and 8 seconds. Morgan Newbury from Great Britain in 2. Nicole Murray, who put in a fantastic ride from New Zealand to come through into the bronze medal position, just edging out Newark from GB. In the men's C2 individual time trial, it was Alexandre Lute from France who took the win, 31 minutes and 10 seconds. There was a big gap back to Darren Hicks from Australia, 1 minute and 8 seconds, but the time gap between silver and bronze, well, less than 2 seconds. Darren Hicks from Australia taking the silver, Edward Vromont from Belgium taking the bronze. In the men's C1 individual time trial, it was indeed the ever-dominant Ricardo Ten-Argilles who came through from the win. A steadier start and a stronger finish saw him pick up that World Championship title, 34 minutes and 11 seconds. 32 seconds clear of Masajewski from Poland. Then it was Senska from Germany who took the bronze. In the women's C3 individual time trial, Emily Petricola took the win, 36 minutes, 35 seconds. Marie Kelhorst from Germany took the silver, 22 seconds back, and Clara Brown just couldn't recover from that rear wheel puncher in the final sections on lap 2. Comes away with the bronze medal. In the women's C1 individual time trial, Talia Clayton-Goody from Australia took the win in 19 minutes and 34 seconds. Victoria Barbosa from Brazil will take the silver, and Nurani Sakuri takes the bronze. Well, the helicopter shots show us a little bit of what we may well see tomorrow. And we will, of course, look forward to that. We will be on, I say we, Barney and I will be in the commentary box tomorrow. The first session of the day starting at 10 to 9 European time. We finish that session at 10 to 1 lunchtime. Then we are back with you at 2 o'clock Central European time until 6 p.m. But first we are going to head to interviews.
La montre. Pouvez-vous décrire ce sentiment?
Je suis très heureux. C'est vrai que quand j'ai vu la météo avant de partir tout à l'heure, j'étais très concentré. Je savais que le circuit était assez technique et urbain avec tous les pavés qu'il y avait dans le dernier kilomètre. Donc il fallait être très attentif et très concentré tout au long du parcours.
Dans quelle mesure la pluie a-t-elle affecté le parcours? Était-elle très glissant?
Ouais, c'était assez glissant, surtout dans la dernière partie, comme je l'ai dit en ville, où avec les pavés, c'était très compliqué. J'ai préféré assurer en mettant les mains sur les côtés et m'enlever de la position aérodynamique pour essayer de prendre le moins de risques possible. Les virages, j'y allais vraiment tranquille. De toute façon, je savais qu'il y avait une longue partie défavorable aussi pour pouvoir m'exprimer. Donc j'ai préféré prendre aucun risque aujourd'hui. Je pense que c'était la bonne solution.
Qu'allez-vous retenir de cette performance pour le dimanche? Peut-être un 6e titre sur la ligne?
Ouais, déjà le gros objectif de ce championnat est passé. Voilà, le contre-la-montre, j'avais vraiment envie de gagner cette course. Donc voilà, il y a beaucoup de stress en moins maintenant et donc on va essayer de s'exprimer aussi dimanche. Ça va être une course très différente. On est 3 Français aussi alignés au départ. Donc faire une course d'équipe, ça pourrait être très intéressant aussi.
Super, merci. Félicitations.
Merci beaucoup.
Alexandre Lute there from the men's C2. The world champion for 2025 from France. It's great to hear from our winners today, and we've been doing that all day. The next rider we are going to hear from is the 2025 world champion in the MC1 category, Ricardo Ten-Argilles.
Ricardo Ten-Argilles, many congratulations. You're a world champion. How does it feel to be a world champion today?
¿Cómo te sientes al ser campeón del mundo hoy?
Muy contento, muy feliz. Ha sido una temporada dura en la que nos ha costado mucho poder llegar a esta competición y ha sido una grata sorpresa encontrarnos con este punto de forma y poder rendir al máximo y poder encontrarnos otra vez con ese maillot arcoiris.
Were the rainy conditions an advantage for you because it almost looked like a swimming pool?
Parece que la lluvia no ha sido una desventaja porque parecía una piscina.
Sí, bueno, el agua es un aspecto que siempre perjudica a todos los corredores, pero bueno, me considero un ciclista hábil y bueno, hemos intentado dar lo mejor de nosotros para conseguir ese tiempo.
What does this world title mean to you and to your team and to your family?
¿Qué significa este título para ti, para el equipo, para la familia?
Significa, pues eso, el trabajo, la constancia, el tener un equipo muy grande alrededor, que no solo está en los momentos buenos, sino también en los malos, y dedicárselo a todos ellos, porque no ha sido fácil el poder llegar hasta aquí.
Muchas gracias. Many congratulations. Thank you.
Gracias a vosotros.
Well, Ricardo Ten-Argil is retaining that World Championship title, and he's defended it with style today. So Ricardo Ten-Argil is in the MC1 category, defending that World Championship title here in Belgium. Great to see. Well, the next rider we are going to hear from, the next new world champion, Emily Petricola from Australia, who took the win in the women's C3 class.
Emily Petricola, many congratulations on your world title. Are you already a bit warmed up?
I'm freezing now. I was warm during the ride, but I'm freezing now.
How hard was it out there in those rainy conditions, and especially on the cobblestones?
Yeah, it's not something I'm used to, so it was really, I was pretty scared and pretty, slow through all of the corners and stuff. It was a bit of a worry, but luckily I stayed upright today.
What does this world title mean to you?
Oh, look, it means a lot because I've had a pretty crap 12 months. So, yeah. I feel really badly for Clara, who, was in front for most of it and then just got a flat tyre towards the end there, and she deserved the win, but I'm pretty happy that the universe was on my side today.
You really, really deserve it too. Many congratulations. Thank you very much, and enjoy the world title.
Thank you.
There goes the Aussie Emily Petricola for her 2 laps.
Well, do you know what? Some days the universe is on your side. And, well, congratulations to Emily Petricola, the new world champion in the WC3 category from Australia. The riders giving interviews, Barney, and the new world champions. Those new world champions will be heading towards the podium very shortly for the medal ceremonies, and they will be picking up those iconic rainbow jerseys.
They will indeed, and that's ultimately the coveted award you get for being a world champion at these events.
Well, let's hear from another world champion, Florina Riegling from Switzerland in the WC2 category.
Florina Rickling, many congratulations. You're a world champion. Can you describe this feeling?
No, I can't. I guess I need some time. The race was really tough. We had changing conditions, but I really liked the rain. So I was looking forward to it. And for me, it was also like a test to see of all the work that we did through the whole year. So I'm more than happy to see that the hard work pays off.
What does this world title mean to you and to your team?
It means the world, like a world title, like it is in the name of the world champion. Yeah, because there's such a huge team behind me. We do all the work together. I wouldn't be able to do that all by myself, and it makes it even bigger to share success with such a big team that is supporting me through highs and lows. So the year wasn't only a high year, but that's what makes it big to look back where we started and where we ended now.
How did you enjoy and experience the support of the Belgian crowd alongside the road?
It was amazing. It's really an honor to race here in Belgium, and I'm looking more than forward to the road race on the hill. There are going to be a lot of people watching. It's the weekend, and yeah, it's really the heart of cycling that you feel beating here in Belgium.
Florina Rickling, herzlichen Glückwunsch. Wie fühlt es sich an, diesen Weltmeistertitel zu gewinnen?
Darf ich Schweizerdeutsch?
Ja.
Es ist mega schön, dass ich den Titel verteidigen darf. Verteidigen ist immer anders als angreifen. Und für mich ist es wirklich so ein bisschen der Höhepunkt von dem Jahr. Wir haben so viel geschafft und für mich ist es ein Test gewesen, so zu sehen, was haben wir gut gemacht. Und ich glaube, wir haben sehr, sehr viel gut gemacht. Und das ist noch umso schöner zu sehen, weil das Jahr ist nicht nur einfach gewesen. Wir haben auch recht tief müssen durchqueren. Aber ich sage immer, tiefe Täler wie in der Schweiz machen Berge umso höher. Und ja, mega schön. Merci beaucoup aussi à mon équipe.
Merci beaucoup, vielen Dank. Many congratulations and enjoy the world title.
Thank you. Merci.
Well, Florina Rickling really talking there about the team focus, the support, the fact that it's not an individual, and you know, that everybody is involved, and that entire Swiss team supporting her today to that World Championship title. And it's lovely, Barney, to hear the athletes talking about that team behind the scenes as well.
Yeah, it is indeed, and it plays very much a part of all the nations that are here, that support team that are around them, to do, you know, all the what's the kind of the considered small things, you know, to help them just purely focus on racing.
Well, Talia Clayton-Goody took the World Championship title in the WC1 time trial for Australia. She is the next rider we are going to hear from.
Talia Clayton-Goody, many congratulations. You're a world champion. Can you believe it?
No, not really. It's something that I've always wanted, I guess. And yeah, I never really thought it would happen, so it's kind of cool.
How much does this title mean to you?
A lot. I don't think it'll sink in for a little bit though.
How hard was it today out there in these rainy conditions?
Yeah, the rain made it a bit wet, a bit exciting. Had a bit of a slip. I think I was worried about the cobbles in the wet and then forgot about the rest of the course in the wet around the corners and had a bit of noopies, but it's all right. Got back up, kept going.
Did the Belgian crowd push you through the limits?
Yeah, they were great. It was amazing to have so many people like just scattered around the course, like the whole course. It was great.
Thank you. Many congratulations. Enjoy the world title.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I love, Barney, there, the honesty of Talia Clayton-Goody, the world champion from Australia in that WC1 class. I had a bit of an off. I got up, I got back on, and I won a world championship medal.
It's the kind of the simple honesty I think sometimes you get with these interviews. It's yeah, fantastic.
Well, our rider interviews absolutely wonderful, and really great to hear about the sport behind the teams and what you do if your race does not go as you expect it. You know, you don't always lose by dealing with issues out on the course. But Barney, it's been a great 2 days of time trials here.
Yeah, it has indeed, and we've seen everything we could possibly imagine from the very start. We've seen close finishes, we've seen moments where we're closing our eyes in the commentary box where riders are on the absolute limit. And yeah, a great finish with a great finish in the women's C2, wriggling just about managing to get across the line in first.
It has been so close, the racing here, and it's been absolutely fabulous to have you with us for the 2 days of individual time trials. And the only thing I can say and leave you with is, with the next 2 days coming up, Saturday and Sunday, the road races, if they are half as exciting as the time trials have been, you need to be here with us watching, because it is going to be fantastic racing here at the UCI 2025 Paracycling Road World Championships. Well, as I said, it's been amazing racing here on day 2. Barney Story and I will be back tomorrow, putting words to the action on day 3. Well, next up to complete the day will, of course, be those medal ceremonies and the presentations of those iconic World Champions jerseys to our new time trial World Champions for 2025.